The rupture in the ground moves faster than the seismic waves produced. A sonic boom, that's what California should prepare for. A sonic boom and then a rupture that creates shock waves that will outrun themselves. Something California is not prepared for at all. Sounds crazy? It's real. They are coming. That's what scientists warn about. What is coming in California? As if California didn't have enough threats already by the San Andreas Fault, by multiple other fault lines, even from the Cascadia Fault in Northern California. So what is the problem now? Another problem? Scientists warn that destructive Supershear earthquakes could devastate California. Oh gosh. Okay, guys. You might have the question now, what is that? So I'm here to help you with that. Let's talk about this because this sounds like another crazy threat. So scientists call that a hidden seismic danger that is lurking in California, these Supershear earthquakes. And the problem is with these things, they move so fast. They move much faster than normal seismic waves. So what does that mean? They produce shock fronts that are similar to sonic booms. So these rare but very, very powerful ruptures could unleash more violent shaking over wider, greater areas than typical normal earthquakes in California. And that would put cities at risk, at greater risk, especially if cities are located near major fault lines. So fast-moving sonic boom earthquakes, great. So the researchers at the statewide California Earthquake Center at UCS Dornsife, they warn that these powerful fast-moving earthquakes will hit California, and therefore they're calling for stronger building codes along with improved monitoring, because they say California is not ready for these supersonic boom earthquakes. Do you remember the earthquake in Myanmar? Magnitude 7.7. Researchers were wondering, gosh, why is there such a long stretch of the fault line that ruptured and was displaced? And then you heard about this. I reported about this. They said, oh my God, this could happen to the San Andreas Fault. We could see a longer amount of fault line actually triggered. But now we know what it was. It was a Supershear event. The ground in Myanmar was split and dragged in different directions during this massive 7.7 magnitude earthquake that hit the Southeastern Asian nation on March 28th. So I want you to rewatch that video. I have put it in the end screen. So really watch what you see here. I mean, there's so much to see in this video. The tower falling over, and you look at the gate, that gate's opening up, and the concrete is splitting. So it took quite a while to replay that video until I finally realized, whoa, what's happening in the background? What's happening right before our eyes? So I'll replay that video again, and look how the ground, it's like you stand here, your friend stands here, and then the Supershear earthquake happens, and you two are all of a sudden, you're apart from each other. And that before you even feel the shaking of the waves, it seems. This is like a fighter jet breaking through the sound barrier. This is absolutely crazy. Here in Myanmar, the shift into opposite directions was almost 17 feet. That's over 5 meters in a split second. So that quake tore a rupture through the Earth's surface that was more than 300 miles long. Twice the distance expected from a quake of this magnitude. And the speed of this massive rupture was also stunning scientists. So that's why they think that was a Supershear event this rare event where the rupture in the ground moved faster than the seismic waves. Usually earthquakes begin at a specific point on a fault, and then they spread rapidly along it, usually at speeds of a few kilometers per second. But in this instance, the rupture sped even faster than that, even a lot of faster than normal. So usually a normal rupture creates waves of energy that spread like ripples in a pond. But here with a Supershear earthquake, the rupture moves faster than the actual waves. And then they pile up and they form how this is called muck wave, similar to the sonic booms of supersonic jets. We know most people in California, they're accustomed to experiencing earthquakes all the time. It's nothing new. If there's a 4 something, they're like, yep, it's another earthquake. But the scientists are really cautioning us that the state faces a huge but lesser known danger, the Supershear earthquakes. They're moving so quickly, guys, you really have to understand this. They're moving so quickly that they're basically outrunning their own seismic waves. And that's why they produce stronger and more widespread shaking than ordinary earthquakes. So the scientists are warning California, and they say you have to resize your hazard preparedness strategies because of that. Because the risk level is far greater than anticipated. And one thing we have to make clear, this is not only isolated to California, this problem. California is no more likely to have the Supershear earthquakes than other similar regions with large fault systems that are like the San Andreas Fault. Remember Myanmar, for example. So the threat has gone unnoticed, not only in California, also in other areas of the world for far too long. Professor of Earth Sciences and Director of the statewide California Earthquake Center, Yehuda Ben Zion says, quote, "The frequency of these Supershear ruptures has been greatly underappreciated." That sounds scary, guys. So we can compare this to a plane exceeding the speed of sound. Then it generates a very powerful shock wave in the atmosphere, and a Supershear rupture creates shock fronts in the ground once it surpasses the velocity of seismic shear waves. So the earthquake is not breaking the sound barrier, but it's breaking the shear wave barrier in the rocks, in the ground, and then it produces these super destructive waves that are stronger than anything what's normally generated in an earthquake. Wow, that is really great. That's the last thing California needed. But again, other regions in the world, I'm just using California as an example right now. So the scientists are saying that this additional impact in these Supershear earthquakes can strike communities heavily. Because the Supershear quakes not only spread intense shaking over large regions, but they also deliver what the scientists call a double strike. That's a sharp jolt from the shock front that is then followed by the trailing seismic waves. And here it comes, guys. Worldwide, about 1/3, that's a lot, of the large strike slip earthquakes are Supershear. And especially in California, that matters a lot. Why? Because it's highly densely populated. Many fault lines, many large fault lines, unfortunately, are near or even underneath metropolitan areas. And they are strike slip. And they are capable of magnitude 7 or even higher earthquakes. Scientists say we cannot say when and where the next Supershear earthquake will be and where the next big earthquake will be and which one will be a supershear. That's the problem. But they say we can say with certainty that over the next few decades, we will have multiple magnitude 7 earthquakes in California. Boom! We will have multiple magnitude 7 earthquakes in California. Let that sink in. Let that sink in, guys. Now you understand why they're saying prepare for stronger shaking. Because the current design standards, they do not account for a supershear quake, like the extra punch. The buildings and the infrastructure in California is generally engineered for the strongest shaking related to the fault lines where they sit. And let's make this clear, they're not even fully ready for these fault lines. There's many buildings that are not reinforced. I'm just wondering right now, what does that mean for all the highways, the bridges? Geez. So the problem with this engineering is the structures are engineered for the strongest shaking that's perpendicular to the faults. But the problem with the supershear earthquakes is that they direct their energy along the fault line itself. So the critical structures should be built to this higher standard, but unfortunately they are not. So the scientists say we need denser monitoring near the fault lines, advanced computer simulations, using AI to calculate supershear scenarios to get a broader picture. This hasn't been done. And then much stronger building codes. I think that's a huge problem. So the scientists say this has to be a collaborative effort where everyone chips in and there's an urgency. They say now is the time to get this started. So many crazy things in the world, guys. Check out my videos in the end screen. It's really, really interesting, especially what's going on in Oregon, where a monstrosity of an underwater volcano is about to erupt. Check it out in the end screen. Santorini, we now know the research results that we've all been waiting for, and it's worse than we thought because it's magma, and it's not one volcano, it's also another underwater volcano that is connected with Santorini. Check that out. Subscribe, please hype this video and like it. If you want to fill me up with coffee, guys, link is in the description, buymeacoffee.com/silky. Thank you so much. Click the join button to become a member, and thank you for your supers. Shout out to all my members, the Silky Squad, the On the Pulse with Silky Squad. Thanks for being part of this channel. Click here. I'll see you in a second. Bye-bye.